Welcome, friend, to the Chef Lance Show, and today we have a classic treat, French onion soup with a little bit of my twist on it, but it is absolutely delicious. You see the pictures. It's hard to see the front of the top of this. I'll post my pictures alongside me somewhere around here. But this is an absolutely beautiful and delicious dish made classically with a twist. So you're going to learn a couple things today. You're going to learn how to caramelize onions, and you're going to learn how to make a roux. So all of those things today while we get to eat good food. See you around the corner. Welcome back, my friend, and we are going to start on this roux. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the stove turned on, get the fire under this. I'm going to put it on about a medium high, and I'm going to let this pan start warming up. And so what I have here are equal amounts by weight, butter. This is whole unsalted butter and all-purpose flour. You can use any fat that you want with making a roux. I like a butter roux because it's very versatile. It has a buttery taste, but it's not overpowering. Now in South Louisiana, and I'm talking while I'm waiting on this to heat up, while it's heating, I'm going to go ahead and put my butter in there to start the melting process. In South Louisiana, they use roux quite a lot in their gumbos and jambalayas and all kinds of good stuff. And that actually, in a large scale, they'll use a liquid neutral oil and put it in a sheet pan, a hotel pan we call it. Stir it together, mix it together, and put it in the oven and just bake it in the oven until it gets to the color they want. A dark roux for gumbo. Rotate it. Okay, now our butter is melted, and I don't want that to burn. I don't want brown butter today. There ain't nothing wrong with brown butter. In fact, that stuff is pretty darn yummy. Next time you make chocolate chip cookies, brown your butter. I'll do a technical Tuesday on browning butter. It's really simple, but just requires a lot of patience. Anyway, so you would do that in the oven to the color you desire, and then they've got large quantities for their needs for the restaurant, right? Because their needs are a little bit more than we, the home cook. All right, so what I've done is, you can see I've mixed all that together, and my mother said I was a bull in the china closet, and look at me already trying to make a mess. I'm going to scrape that down. Now, here's the thing about a roux. What intimidates a lot of people, you cannot walk away. Especially if you're on the surface of that, to cool quickly. That'll protect the deli-tainer from getting overheated. It'll help cool the roux down. Now, we're going to get started on the next step, and I'll see you around the corner. Welcome back, my friend, and here's the next step we're going to do in making this French onion soup. I'm preheating this Dutch oven on a medium-low. We want to go low and slow with caramelizing onion. No need to rush this. This is not like grilling an onion. Nothing wrong with that. I love a grilled onion on a burger, but that's a high heat application. What we're doing here is low and slow. We want to drive off the water out of the onion and let the sugars shine by caramelizing those like you would making caramel. That's exactly the same process, except the sugars are bound up in the onion. Going on. All right. So this is a very low temp, very low and slow. We have no need to rush this at all. So I'm going to start out with a little bit of oil. This is olive oil, not virgin, extra virgin olive oil. You don't want that. And we don't want a whole lot on here. We don't need a lot for this amount of onion. It's a small amount of onion. Then we've got a small amount of butter. And why am I adding the butter to the oil? Well, I want the butter flavor, but I don't want the butter burning. So having a high temperature oil with the butter actually kind of averages out. It raises the smoke point for the butter by combining the two. It slightly lowers that of the oil, but we're cooking so low and slow that's not going to be an issue. We'll get that stirred around. By the way, this has a brown tip on it, not because it's dirty. It's been colored by whatever I was stirring the last time. If I wanted that to return to white, and at some point I will, I would put that in a little container that has hot water and just a small amount of bleach and let it soak. And that bleach does what bleach does. It bleaches it out. Okay? So I've got that melting. I'm going to let that melt. While it does, I'm going to bring you up close and let you watch from the top so you can see what exactly is going on. So when we come back, you'll be looking at the top of this, and we'll keep going. See you in just a sec. All right, welcome back, my friend. And from this bird's eye view, you see that the butter has just a little bit left, just now melted. I'm going to make sure that's stirred together well. Then I'm just going to dump in my French sliced onions right into it. Okay. Get off of there. Thank you. I'm going to stir that around, get that coated. Now, we're in no hurry. This is going to take a minute, okay? We do not want to raise the temperature. We want to cook this low and slow. So I'm going to stir this every so often. I'm not going to hover like I did when I made the roux, but this doesn't need to sit in one spot for very long, but for a few minutes, it's okay. So every few minutes, we'll come back and stir this thing, and we'll cut in and out to speed it up a little bit. And then, but you'll see it caramelizing. So the first thing the first stage we want to get it to is to get it to translucent. All right, so I'll bring it back in just a minute, and we will go forward with our caramelizing of the onions. So welcome back, and so we're going to multitask. There's a lot of steps in making a French onion stew. None of them difficult. Super easy, super simple. But there's a lot of steps, so we do a lot of multitasking. So while the onions are caramelizing over here, I'm going to go ahead and slice up my baguette. Now, this is half of the baguette I baked this morning. By the way, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see some baking or bread making videos. I'm minored in bread baking because I love it, and I don't do it often enough. I do it probably once a week, make a good loaf of bread. But that would give me a reason to make it more. I would enjoy that, and I hope you would too. So let me know if you'd like to see that. But I've got half a baguette. The other half I use for a very useful purpose, lunch for me. But this is more than enough for what we're going to do. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice these into rounds, but I'm just going to make slices of this, and then I'm going to toast those off to make croutons. So most croutons are fried. I'm not going to fry these today. I want to make it simple. Anyway, we're going to toast these in the air fryer, and that way we're just going to get a nice crispy crouton through that way without the deep frying hassle, mess, and dangers. But this is the baguette I made, and I've got a serrated knife. Some people call this a bread knife. A serrated knife cuts a lot of things. Bread is one of them because it's soft, a soft thing. So I'm just going to cut some rounds. And I'm going to cut several. For one thing, it's going to take, let me just grab my bowl real quick. This is the vessel I'm using for the French onion soup. This is deep. This is an entree size. And so the croutons lay on top of the soup, and I'll need about 3 of these croutons to cover the top. Then I'll layer the cheese on top of that. We'll cover that when it comes to assembly time, but that's why I'm cutting this. Then I'm going to cut a few extra for garnish, right? Just to make the plate a little prettier. And then when people finally dig down, your guest or you dig down past the cheese and the crouton, you've got some other little crispy croutons there to dip into your soup broth. That's oh so delicious. So this is a classic recipe with a little bit of an Arkansas twist. And when it comes to when we make the soup base, I'll cover a little bit of the twist. It has to do with the seasoning that I'm going to use. There's 6 of them. 7. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's do 8 because remember we plate with odd numbers. There's something about the human brain that sees odd numbers as completeness, the way we were made. So I'm going to use 3, and that'll leave me 5 for garnish on the plate. Odd number, odd number. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside and use it later for something else. So now, what am I going to do next? I'm going to toast these in the air fryer. So I'm going to get the air fryer set up, and then I'll put them in, and we'll get to toasting. All right, I've got the, if you saw my unboxing video for this air fryer, you'll know this is the shallow, this is the tray. I could use either the tray or the air fryer basket. I'm just going to use the tray this time because first thing I grabbed. I'm just going to put these on here. Then when I go back to my air fryer, I'm going to set it to either bake or probably roast to start out with. And you know, the air fryer covers both sides. Now, could you put these in a toaster? Yes, you could. Can you get them out of a toaster without burning yourself? That might be a challenge. You see how small they are. That would be very hard to pick up. So an oven, if you don't have an air fryer, use an oven. But I'm going to use the air fryer so I don't heat up the whole kitchen really hot. And don't need to, don't want to. And so this is quick and easy. I'm going to pop these in. So this is what I'm going to do. All right, that's on a roast for 10 minutes at 375 degrees. So I'm just going to hit the go button. Oh, we've got to set the time. There we go. So that's going to run. I will check on it periodically. 10 minutes. They may or may not be complete. I might have to run this again. So we'll see. I've not toasted croutons in the air fryer yet, so learn with me, will you? Check out that unboxing video. This thing is not only incredibly beautiful, but it's one of the most versatile tools you can have in a kitchen. And I don't believe you should have specialized tools just for the sake of having those. But having them when it's something that can really help you out is something I believe you should check into. So anyway, we're going to let that go, and I'm going to get back to my caramelized onions. See you in a sec. Okay, so we're multitasking. We're going to start our soup base. I'm going to use the cooking blender today. If you don't have a cooking blender, but if you don't, you can do this in a Dutch oven or on a stock pan. It can be done on the stove, but I like the cooking blender because it's kind of set it and forget it. I don't have to monitor it. It cooks itself, does its own thing. But that's just me. So we're going to get this started. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn it on, and I am going to set this on the, where am I? The soup setting. And then I'm going to take the lid off. What I've got here is about 4 ounces of chicken stock. This is commercial, national brand. I was able to find the chicken stock unsalted. You'll see chicken stock and chicken broth. They're not, well, they are interchangeable in many ways, but a stock is done with bones and mirepoix or aromatic vegetables. And a broth typically is cooked also with meat in with the bones. But most commercial stuff is going to be salted. I was able to find this one unsalted. However, the beef was a salted variety, but it was also labeled a beef stock. So remember, if you're using it commercially like this, you are going to need to remember that when you start seasoning. Oh, by the way, while I was setting this up, our croutons came out. They're nice and toasty, a little less on the bottom side than the top, but I think the roast has a higher heating element on the top. So I'm still learning this machine. I love the machine. It's great. We're going to do a lot of things with that air fryer. But perhaps the bake setting might have been better. So I'm learning, right? So, but these are not throwaways. These are very usable. I wanted it to dry out, get crispy, because it's going to sit on the soup and soak up the soup. We didn't want it to become too mushy. All right. So now I've got that, and I'm using some fresh thyme. Picked up at the store. We normally grow this here at the school, but it's we're out of a session right now, so we're all doing other things besides keeping the microgreens and the herbs growing. But I've got a few picked off that I'm going to dump in here. Now, actually, just for that amount, I'm just going to use less than half of that. Remember, you can always add more, but you can't what? You can't take it out, just like so. The other thing I've got is I've got the roux that we made. And let me grab a little spoon real quick. And this amount, even though it's a small amount of roux, is way too much roux for this amount. So I'm just going to scoop up just a little bit. And again, you can always add more, but well, you can't take it out. All right, so then here's the Arkansas twist. This is a classic dish that's seasoned many ways, thyme and salt. But I like to use a little Cavender's Greek seasoning on there. Greek and French cooking. So they're close to almost neighbors. Okay, so but besides that, this is a very tasty seasoning. My father used this before I even knew what I'm about to tell you. He used this all the time. But Cavender's is made right here in my home state of Arkansas in a little town in north central Ozarks called Harrison. In fact, their slogan is the gateway to the Ozarks. It's a bustling little town, and the Cavender's was a family-owned business. So I am just going to sprinkle just a little bit in there because you can always add more. And then we're going to put the lid on. There you go, ready to go. So this is going to run, and it's going to heat up to 212 degrees. I think that's what the setting said. So we're going to get it cooking in there. Again, if you don't have one of these, you can certainly do this on the stovetop. But I'm going to let this machine do the work while I check on my caramelized onions. We'll see you in just a second. Okay, kids, we're making some progress on these onions. If you'll notice the difference in the color here, it's gone from a white to developing a little bit of color. It's gone past translucent, and we're moving into the light golden brown stage. So just going to let this continue to cook. I failed to mention this earlier. So when you have prep day on the weekend or whenever your day off is, you're getting ready for your weeknight meals, the best way to make your weeknight go just flawless is to do these on your prep day. Put them in an airtight container. And then when you're ready to go, you heat up your soup base and pull it all together. Add the onions to it. They're heated through after that point, even hot. So you can do this ahead of time, and you won't be waiting on a weeknight to get this done. Perfect weekend prep activity. But we're going to let this go for a minute, a couple minutes, several minutes, however much longer it takes. We're not measuring time. We're measuring the results. And then we'll get on to the next step. You can hear the cooking blender still getting on it after there. What did I just say? You hear the cooking blender getting it on over there. And but I can see from the numbers on the screen, it's almost done. All right, we're well on our. We're literally, or as soon as these onions are caramelized, this soup is going to be ready to go. We're going to adjust the seasonings at that time, and then we will move on to the next step of assembling and broiling this in the oven under your broiler. We'll talk about that when that time comes. Okay. All right, see you in a few. All right, as you can see here, these onions are really almost done. We want to get a couple pieces there, need a little more color, but certainly this is exactly the kind of color we're looking for, a little deeper and richer than this, but we're almost there. So I'm going to continue sauteing these and caramelizing the onions, and then I'll bring it back when they're completely finished, but we are literally on the verge of ready to assemble this soup. All right, we'll see you in a couple of minutes. All right, kids, we are ready to go. You see this nice caramelization on these onions. Looks just fantastic, and they're very sweet. In fact, I'm just going to call a audible here. Have a little chef's privilege. Oh, that caramelization brings out the sugars in it. Dadgum, that's good. All right, anyway, the cooking blender has done its job, so I'm just going to pour this soup base right in here, just like that. And this is a single serving for probably an entree size. Depends on who you're feeding. It could be doing. So I'm going to bring you back, get everything staged and ready to go for plating, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do after that. So see you in a sec. Oh, forgot to mention, I'm going to adjust for seasonings now because I haven't done that yet. So let me just start. Needs a little more Cavenders. A lot more maybe. You'll get that stirred in. All right, now we're ready to plate. It's not the final step. We do have to put this under the broiler to melt the cheese. Certainly, if you have one of those torches, either one for the shop or a culinary torch, you can use that. One of the tidbits, though, when you fire it up, do not point it at your food. Point it away so that when you turn it on, the escaping gases don't just land right on your food before you've had a chance to ignite it. Okay, so look, this is a deep bowl, so actually bigger. It's a mug, not a bowl, but still, I probably could have easily doubled this recipe, and now in hindsight I'm wishing I had, but it is a one serving, so we're going to make do with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my croutons, and I'm going to put 3 of them in here. Make sure I cover the top of the soup. Then I'm going to add my Swiss. This is actually a baby Swiss. It melts so nice. By the way, an excellent cheese would be a Gruyere. If you can't find Gruyere, Swiss is easy for you to say, is not just an acceptable but a decent, really good alternative to Gruyere. I've always typically used the Swiss though, and I couldn't find Gruyere today. So there you go. So now, then I'm going to put over that my provolone cheese. I'm going to layer that in there, and we'll set this right here. I'm going to go put this in the oven, and when this cheese is melted, I'm going to garnish it with some extra thyme leaves. We're going to take a picture, and then we're going to do some tasting, my favorite part. So I'll see you in just a sec. Okay, my friend, this is my favoriteest time of the day, and that is tasting time. So let me grab this spoon over here. This literally just came out from underneath the broiler where we melted the cheese, and it's smelling delicious. What I've got here, I've got my extra croutons on the side in case I want to dip later, and you know I will. I will tell you, the one thing I would have done differently is there was not enough liquid to fill this cup. This is a very large mug. I would have just gotten a little more stock. I should have added it to it, adjusted the seasonings, and then filled it up a little bit more. I was not thinking correctly at the time, so don't do as I do, do as I say. But let's get on with this tasting part. This is an absolutely gorgeous and delicious dish. Look at all that ooey gooey cheese. I might need a knife or some scissors to cut that. I want to get a little bit of cheese. I want to get part of one of the croutons. Oh yeah, here we go. Mmm. 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 Oh yeah, happy dance. My goodness. If you're a cheese lover, and you should be if you're not. Anyway, the sweetness of the onion, caramelized the way we did, the Cavenders, really, my little twist on it, really adds something different to it. And then everything else was standard according to Hoyle stuff. So I'm going to use one of my croutons here. I'm going to dip in this broth. These are very crisped up. I probably could have done it 30 seconds less or maybe a minute. Didn't go the full 10 minutes in the air fryer on the roast setting. When it was showing 3 minutes, I probably could have cut it off at 4 minutes remaining. But these toasted croutons now are going to soak up really well this broth. Mmm. Mmm. Can you hear that crunch? That is so stinking good. Well, my friend, it's been a pleasure. And you've learned a little bit today. You learned how to make a roux. What else did we learn? Caramelizing onions. I knew there was something else. So you got some technique in today, and you end up rewarding yourself with a delicious dish. So, fantastic. Until we see you again on the Chef Lance Show, remember this: a day in the kitchen beats a day of working any day. That's so good. My goodness. That flavor. Oh, you're supposed to be gone. All right. See you later.